Well, we've had a lot of information thrown at us this morning. I think from my perspective, I just have one thing that keeps going through my head, and that is that the panelists think they were seated in order of being follically challenged, and I'm on this side of Jack. But seriously, if we could try to leave the audience with one thing, I mean, one key takeaway that they could take from this, from one, obviously the historic legislation that passed, and as we've kind of yet to see the full picture of what's going to become of that, and from some of the employee wellness programs we've talked about for the business owner in the audience, the executive in the audience, the employee in the audience, if each of you could take one thing that you think should be their takeaway from this discussion or from your perspective. We'll start with Jack.
Start with follically challenged.
Yeah, we'll go in order of less to more.
Thank you. I think I've said this throughout the process today as we've gone through this. This is going to be major change. This is not going to be easy. But I am very optimistic that for our region of southeastern North Carolina that we are creative enough and we've got the right environment that we're going to be able to enhance health care for our community. I'm not certain you're going to be able to say that throughout the country, but I believe that we will be able to be successful and we will continue to drive the best health care we can to our residents. It's going to be hard work. It's going to take a lot of creativity. It's going to be, you're going to have to think. You're going to have to think out of, how your normal processes of work. But I truly am, Brian started with bullish. I've never used bullish so much in a conversation in my life, but
yeah.
I leave that to Pat Cusack. But other than that, out of the process, when we look at it, we will be successful, and our residents will be enhanced, and I think that will have a major impact 8, 10, 12, 15 years with people looking at southeastern North Carolina as a place to come, because I think healthcare with this change is going to be a major issue for a lot of people in their relocation, and I actually think we're going to be ahead of it and be better off than a lot of people are. So I think there's a lot of positives, but it's not going to be for the faint of heart for the next 6 to 7 years.
I would say cost ought to be a concern for everybody, but notwithstanding that, then I think that what you're going to definitely see is you're going to see more demonstration of quality. How are the outcomes? What is happening to our patient population? You're going to see providers banding together to reduce the overall cost of care. And by that, I mean including insurance providers and employers. And I think, and this is even mandated in some of the legislation, that you're going to see the experience for the patient improve. That's one of the 2,200 that's out there that haven't been mandated yet, that the Secretary shall include in the ACO language a requirement that the ACO prove patient-centeredness. Now, none of that particularly sounds bad. As long as we can get over the overall cost of the implementation of the insurance reform, the actual driving of healthcare reform, which is based on these demonstration projects and innovation, I think it has a remarkable potential to really transform the face of what we do. And I completely agree with Jack. I think that this market, in fact, it's one of the reasons why I moved to this particular market from Illinois, which if you want to talk about tort reform, we can do that offline. Jack came from there as well, so he knows what I'm talking about. I would say that this market is better positioned than almost any market that I've seen to actually improve the quality of care for the community that we serve and have more people stay in Wilmington for their health care and more people come to Wilmington for their health care, because I do believe that the providers in this community are going to get on this page, and I do believe that we're going to be successful at it.
I would say I'm encouraged, and you should be encouraged, by the willingness of providers to work together to make this thing work. Again, collaboration is going to be the key as we move further into trying to figure out all of the things that are in this bill. I serve on several boards. There are discussions among many organizations going on already in the community surrounding collaborative efforts and how we can make this work. So I think it speaks to the spirit of our region and the area in which we live, that we're willing to work together and willing to make things work. So I, as well as you, should be encouraged by that.
Obviously, there's a lot of change. As an employer, I think you have to have a team of great advisors that you're using to help you to stay current and stay on top of what those changes mean. And it's going to change for a period of time. I think the focus, what I would say to employers is focus on the basics, the things that work, because they will carry you through times of change. So a culture of wellness, a plan design or plan offerings, HSA plans that incent consumer engagement, trust in innovation. I think problems in this country are solved locally, and there's going to be a collaboration of providers, employers, carriers, everybody in the system are going to work together to provide solutions. And as the part that I'm excited about is if you focus on those things over this next period of time, a lot of the technology with the exchanges and the connectivity that Jeff and Jack have been talking about will begin to link up. And my hope and my belief is we'll eventually get to an even better delivery system than we have already today. So encourage positive, a lot of work.
I guess what I would say is that every single person in this room can show leadership around the issue of health, and it's important. As an individual, if you're healthier, you make a difference. As a parent, if you make your family healthier, it makes a difference. As a business leader, at whatever level you are in your company and your organization, if you promote wellness and healthiness in your organization, you're ultimately making America more competitive. I would say it's a patriotic duty. Now, I don't know how it's going to turn out for each of us in our different organizations and our different perches, depending on what we are, which stakeholder we are. But I know what I said for sure is true, that each of us can show leadership on this issue, and that would be a good thing. It'll make the process go much more smoothly.
Well, we could please give all our panelists a round of applause. And speaking of leadership, the gift we got each of our panelists, we always get a book. And since we have many of our healthcare leaders in this community on the stage, we want them to keep innovating and showing us the way in terms of the future of healthcare. So we got them a new book by Clayton Christensen, who's a Harvard Business School professor. He's the author of The Innovator's Dilemma, and his new book is called The Innovator's Prescription. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Rob.
See you in September.